Actually, I did not run until the year my son was graduating. Okay. So I was close enough to know what needed to be done, and learned a lot between NYSSBA and Colesbo organizations. I learned a lot about the requirements of a school board member and to provide governance and oversight, not to get into micromanagement. Yeah. We hire professionals, our superintendents, to do that with their staffs. Yeah. And it was very, very interesting.
Now, you've been on the board for 14 years now. Right. A lot has changed in that time. Maybe talk about some of the challenges that you see that have kind of arisen in those years and what you kind of see ahead for school board members.
Well, I see ahead a very, very big challenge in the way we fund and what's being requested. You know, when you look back at what the students were required to do, and I think it was accommodate 16 or 18 required credits to be able to graduate high school in a 4-year, 180-day or so school year, depending on what's in your particular district. Right. But that's the minimum requirement, I think. Then to move that forward and to up the level to 22 required credits, go from Regents now is required of everyone graduating, Regents diploma. I think those are all laudable. I think what's happening, though, is the pressure we're putting on the districts to be able to accommodate that in a certain amount of given time frame. The accountability, and I'm not against accountability, but I'm against accountability that is not reasonable in nature. Because sometimes it's like, I'm going to make you carry an extra 50 pounds of weight, but I expect you to run the mile in the exact same time or better. Right. Okay, and there's no allowance for that. And so I think those are things that we're going to need to look at. We have several, when I will go back to the funding, we have a tax cap that we're facing as a state right now. And what I think what's going to happen here in the near future is how that tax cap was put in place. It's put a cap on what we can raise our taxes on, but it may not have that same effect on the homeowner or the actual taxpayer. It could reflect in a little bit higher payment on their part, depending on how that comes out. And there's people that are starting to realize that we really didn't put a lid on anything. We've allowed a continued leak. But they haven't done anything to reduce the mandates that are required. And there's been a lot of people that have come out. It's not just school districts. It's the county organization. Each county has come out in their group. The towns and villages all have to work under the same thing, but they don't have the same requirement. Their voting is done by the elected official. Right. Our votes for our budgets are still put up to the public. And that's good, because it gets back to local governance. Let the people decide what they want to spend. Right. Once you elected a public official, though, for a county, a town, or a village, they're making that vote for you. So if they have a 60% requirement and you have a 5-person vote in a village, 3 have to say the taxes are going up more than, the 2%, and it's allowed. Right. So, these are things that I think are not being equal. And, everybody says this, it's laudable. We're working with the people that are going to be our future, okay? These are the people that are going to be our lawyers, our doctors, our school teachers, and every other profession in between that is required for society to move ahead in the way we expect it to and one that we would like to live in. Yet we're not really treating them equally in the way we're setting it up to be properly funded.
Right. Do you see, given some of the reforms that are going on in New York currently, given the fiscal environment that schools are operating under, do you see this as maybe the most challenging time you've seen as a school board member?
Oh, most definitely. This is going to be tough. We're going to start making decisions. They've started to already. We're going to be balancing our staff requirements, what's core in education that's going to have to be taught, the nice to-dos that educate the whole student, the music, the art, the sports, the physical activity that's going to allow not only a student to be mentally prepared for the future, but physically be able to endure that future also.